The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron 868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. on WAC 90.1 FM. The Living Room, casual conversations on serious topics.
And just on cue, as soon as we are looking to start tonight's program, the collection of dogs, we just call a collection of dogs.
A herd.
The herd of dogs have commenced their barking.
Probably not a herd, Aaron. I think it's a pack.
You know what? We'll Google that.
Correct is right.
It is currently a couple minutes after 6 p.m. and this is yours truly, DJ Aaron 868. I'm always great and I'm never late, alongside my neighbor's dogs and my brother, Bruno, alongside my brother from another mother,
Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage on the local stage.
And we would like to welcome you into the living room, right here on the True Nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
culture crazy.
So let's kick off this program as we always do, all right? Must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gift of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
Secondly, must say thank you to those that went before us, not just the ancestors, but also to our brother in music, that is Tony Prescott. And the P this week stands for?
Pointly suspect.
Wow. Yeah, just know, it used to be adjectives. You just getting all over. Now you reach the nouns.
Language is a fluid thing, Aaron.
Just now you'll drop in a preposition.
You getting that too?
Then it might bring phrases.
Yeah, it could get preposterous. You know what? Let it P this week be for preposterous.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a series of preposterous events taking place. Some as we speak, some of them happen over the weekend. Some of them unfold and going forward, but let me just go with preposterous for now. It seems like a nice parasol, umbrella under which many of these things could fall.
Yeah, because I don't understand how one team could be going through turmoil and see it fit to get rid of the manager, and the next team going through a higher level of turmoil and send the man on vacation.
Hey, maybe the man just need a mental health break, Aaron. It happens.
You know what? We'll send them an episode of the living room to listen to.
That makes sense too.
But I still don't am at my club anymore.
You know what? I'm not saying anything until I see how Jappy perform as a coach. Right? He already make a good step. He let go somebody on medical staff, the head of the medical staff, because you can't tell me
Dembele injured.
Dembele, you are allowed to register 25 players to your football team for the season, right? 25 to your core team. 11 of them injured. 11.
Something wrong there. Something
had to be wrong with your whole program.
Let go too deep into football. We'll save that for another conversation sometime in this Men's Health Month.
Yeah, hey, correct is right. We could rally the squid hard.
All right. But we normally start our programs by hanging our hat, then wiping our feet. We must enter the living room with a clean mind and a clear heart.
And clean shoes.
Exactly. With your head covered.
I wanna hang my hat. I wanna hang my hat this week on public servants. I wanna hang my hat with certain public servants. I ain't making this thing political and I ain't looking to nitpick and call out. But what I'm saying is that I've seen time and time again that there are people who are willing to go above and beyond the call of duty to make sure that things function. There are people who are putting in time and effort that we will never see, and thus it would be difficult for us to acknowledge them. So I want to hang my hat to unsung heroes. I want to hang my hat to the people who stay up late doing documents for somebody to callously read or misread when the morning come and the public to tear into them. But the work was done. I want to hang my hat to the people who coming in before your shift and coming in after your shift and making sure that the place clean and sanitized and healthy for you even if it's something as simple as emptying a dustbin, if you don't know how to do it properly, trust me, it shows. I want to hang my hat to them. I want to hang my hat to the people who exercise patience with customers and clients in systems that are so horrendously flawed that your frontline workers, your service reps should be managing the place. That's to tell you how important their contribution is to your organizations. I want to hang my hat to the people that sometimes we do make eye contact with when we're dealing with them because of how we feel about what it is we're doing. You know, I just want to acknowledge the unsung heroes because there are lots of people giving more than they have. And you all already know who my heroes are. Teachers, parents, and whoever happened to fall into the top three at that point in time. But generally, the unsung heroes, the people who put in the work and you don't know. Or you don't acknowledge it. You don't pay attention to it until you stop doing it. So yeah, just in case you happen to be hearing this, I'll see you.
I'll add to that by hanging my hat to the garbage collectors.
Case in point. Yeah, let them fellas do pass for a couple of days now. Anyway.
Yeah, point.
Don't let your custodian let them empty them bin for 2 days and you realize them chicken bone you chew up and spit out and showing the bone starting to smell up the kitchen. Anyway. Yeah, man. So Aaron, how are you looking to wipe your foot this evening? This lovely God-given evening.
I have so many ways to wipe my feet.
Yeah,
but I would wipe boy or a spider.
It is a mark. Anyway.
I have to wipe my feet to the politicians and the administration in this country. Clearly, they think that I am so dumb that I don't understand democracy. They are making a farce of the democratic process in my country. They are taking, and I'll say this very blatantly, they are taking my arrogance for ignorance. Olia, you can't tell me that one thing is said in a press conference and you run for comment for somebody else to say the exact same thing, but to throw slander at another person's name. We should not be reporting for propaganda and foolishness. We need to report on facts. Due diligence needs to be conducted. I'm fed up of hearing the he say and the she say. I'm fed up. And I implore the citizenry of this country that when the opportunity is presented to us to make our voices heard by dipping our finger, that we send a clear message to the leadership that change needs to come.
I like the passion with which you deliver that position.
Right, Hannah. I want to go further.
And I realize you want to start a call name and thing, you know.
This is not a political show. This is not Speak Out. I'll call David on Speak Out today and talk about that.
Yeah, David.
But Jared, Hannah, we in 2021 earlier. 2021 almost done. And we are still operating with our mindset of 1946.
Yeah.
To quote my Virgin Kivan, have mercy now. Have mercy.
Yeah. I am, as my niece / cousin, I don't know why you just call it when it's your cousin daughter. That's still a cousin, right? Yeah. She's
you asking me?
She's the voice of good trouble. I am an advocate for good trouble, you know, because if we do not rock our boat, if we don't make things a little uncomfortable, then the erroneous will continue. I just want to check a toe on that mat really quickly if it have space and time, right? Because what's going on? We enter Christmas season. So, ladies and gentlemen, it had two kind of criminals to look out for. The fellas who watching for your bag outside and the people and them who behind the cashiers inside. And the reason I'm saying that is because customer service, as great as there are examples of it, it have people out here that are systemically robbing people. And I'm definitely going to put some effort into getting somebody from consumer affairs. Don't
go no further. Popping on that, Ricardo. Because they say certain movies are PG.
Right.
Our pricing system in Trinidad and Tobago is PG. Price gouging.
here we're going on with price, right? I believe as a consumer, you have the right to choose. I ain't going into things like the pollution and that type of thing. I ain't going into that.
Economies of scale and all them different things.
What I'm going into is business places that have illegal business practices, things like no refund and no exchange and that type of thing.
And or they can't use your links for under 25 and
the places that tell you have 7 days within which to return a product, or you cannot return it. And then while you're in line returning it, somebody else returning the same product and telling you that you can't exchange it. What I'm saying is anyway, you know what?
That's another episode. Like, don't go down that road. Just to clear it up,
I want to come out with venom for that one. So I want to make sure issues resolved before I do so. Anyway, go on.
I think in context of the dogs that you'll hear barking constantly in my background, that would be either a pack of dogs or a kennel of dogs.
Right. Yeah.
If they were puppies, it would be a litter. But them ain't no puppy.
Yeah. Them dog back. Them going to be puppies.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not a hood.
Not a hood. You get a hood. You thought it was a cow or something? No?
Yeah, well, you know why I'm like a hood here on.
I live in country too, so you never know. Let us introduce our guest.
Yeah, because the way I get myself excited and my blood pressure look like it want to go up, we need somebody to help me avoid stroke and them kind of thing, because here it is going on, right? Men's health continues, and we have a practitioner of men's health, who is a man. The man overqualified in terms of being able to have this discussion with us. So, Aaron, you reading up?
Yeah. Dr. Maraj is a consultant neurologist at the Department of Medicine, EWMSC. He was trained in neurology at the University of Calgary, where he also did a fellowship in vascular neurology. He is a fellow of the Royal College of Physicians in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So,
EWMSC is the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex.
I guess so. I thought so. I think he in the mezzanine.
The mezzanine.
So you have the power to let him in?
Yeah, and he definitely superseded the dress code this evening. If we had to do our best dress for this new season, he looked like he might take it so far, yes?
So far. Don't worry, for Christmas I'll come out with a hard sweater.
That I look for that. I look for that. Let
him in. Yeah, open the proper door now. It's been a while since we have had a living room full of honorable gentlemen.
When you say
it's been a while.
When you say honorable, I mean we've had gentlemen before and they weren't honorable, or just the first time in a long time we only have men in the living room?
Take it as you may. Just take it as you may. I'm not even going down that road today, right? First and foremost, we would have introduced you as Dr. Nicholas Maraj. Could I just call you Nicholas for this interview?
Please, thank you. Or Nick.
All right.
Anyone.
Nick?
Yeah.
All right. I'll call you Nicholas, and Ricardo, well, he's get extra comfortable real quick, so he'll call you Nick, I'm sure.
That's not a problem.
Yeah, correct. Is
right. So we'll kick off today's interview with probably the simplest question you're going to get for the evening. How are you doing?
I am blessed, not stressed, not a worry in the world that allowed to burden my shoulders. Everybody in this place have worries, but it's really your mental attitude towards your worries that's kind of dictate the pace of the situation.
I thought he was going for a third line in the rhyme, you know.
Blessed, stress, and doing the best or something, so on.
So yeah, I thought it was something like that.
I only wanted two.
Yeah, man. So, Nicholas, hear this, right? Colloquially, right? We tend to hear things happen to men or elders or family members, and you get the text message or you get the phone call. Well, so and so taking, right? So and so taking. Taking in Trinidad and Tobago is the equivalent of gas. It's literally, it could be anything. It could be something. It's an umbrella term, right? Exactly. But as a neurological consultant, right? When you hear take-in, what comes to your mind and how does it impact the work that you do?
The most important thing that anybody's talked to me about when somebody take in is usually that they have a stroke. Usually, in my field, when we're talking about it.
Yeah.
And usually that's just be like, oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really, really unfortunate thing because lots of strokes are preventable and lots of strokes are treatable. But the way that we handle it in Trinidad, especially men who like to play the strong and nothing does worry them and don't take on their health, a lot of it is preventable. A lot of it is preventable.
You say for the men, right? And as we all know, this is Men's Health Month. So let's spend a couple of minutes talking about firstly, what are some of the signs that you are, before you go to the signs, explain to me what is a stroke?
That's a good question. So a stroke is basically the signs and symptoms somebody has when an area of the brain is deprived of blood flow, resulting in the brain not working the way it's supposed to work and malfunctioning. If it happens for a particular period of time, that area of the brain does not get enough food and oxygen from the blood and builds up toxic products, and that area of the brain can die and wouldn't work as well at all the way it's supposed to work. So it's a plumbing problem and it's a supply and demand problem. Supply of blood compared to the demand of that area of the brain for that blood.
You know, that is the most comprehensive and yet the clearest explanation I've heard so far. Because now I understand, this is why you would hear somebody had a mild stroke, somebody had a severe stroke, etc. Because now I have a context for it.
Exactly. The brain is really like real estate. That's what I try to explain to people. It's not how much of the brain is damaged, it's where in the brain particularly damaged. So you can have a very small stroke in a very, very, very eloquent or very special area, and that could lead to catastrophic damage. You can have a very large amount of damage in a very unnecessary, for want of a better term, part of the brain that leads to very minimal symptoms.
Well, in my 35 years of living, I think this is the first proper definition I have of a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say thank you very much for clearing that up for me.
You're very welcome, Aaron.
This is not hyperbole here, you know. Literally, but my understanding of what a stroke is has just expanded. And I get it now. Because you will hear somebody had a stroke and they went home the evening or they're back home by morning. And then sometimes they hear somebody had a stroke and in months of recovery, if at all. Exactly.
So what I can kind of do a little bit more there is I can explain like what happens, what are the risk factors that most people have for strokes, and I'll kind of explain it in the context of what types of strokes there are. So there are two types of strokes mainly.
Okay.
Clot in the brain strokes and bleeding in the brain strokes. The clots in the brain strokes come from either the big pipes in the neck that carry blood up to the brain, or from the heart that pumps blood, the major pump. If there's any sort of abnormalities in the structural wall of the heart or the electrical activity, blood can tend to stay in the heart, and when blood tends to stay in any particular area, it tends to clot. When it clots, those little clots could fly off up into the brain, obstruct the flow of blood, deprive the area of brain past that obstruction of blood, resulting in the signs and symptoms of a stroke in that area. The bleeding in the brain is basically damage to those blood vessels, leading to blood leaking out of the pipes rather than being inside the pipes and damaging the brain. So it's a bit more problematic when you have bleeding in the brain versus a clot in the brain strokes. And thankfully, by the grace of the Almighty, only 1 in 5 of all strokes are generally bleeding in the brain strokes, whereas 4 in 5 are mostly clots in the brain strokes.
That is why you see that a lot of them are preventable, because they don't start as a brain issue. They start with a heart issue.
Yeah, like clogged arteries in the heart, clogged arteries in the neck causing the problems, and clogged arteries in the heart then causing the abnormalities in the heart beating the way it's supposed to beat and causing the clots and subsequently strokes.
So we reached to that term that we see here so much, clogged arteries, right? We always seen it on the different ads on TV, and I wouldn't go any further because I don't want to give away any free advertising, right? But clogged arteries are, as you say, preventable.
To a very large extent, we can minimize them to a lot. Certain people are more risk of having clogged arteries. So I'll explain what clogged arteries are. So there are two types of pipes in your body. You have arteries that take blood away from the heart up to the brain, to your kidneys, to all the organs, and provide those tissues with food and oxygen. Then those arteries give blood to those areas, and then blood exchanges the food and oxygen for the toxic products, the carbon dioxide and the waste products that the cells use, and take that blood back up to the heart via veins, which are the other little blood vessels. So the arteries are the really important one in this situation. These arteries are really, they're different sizes depending on where they are, the brain, the heart, the kidneys. And what really happens, if we think about it like a hose, it's a pipe, a hose, you can have gunk building up on the inside of the artery, narrowing the wall, getting it smaller, until only trickle amount of blood could pass through it. And when a certain amount of obstruction to the flow of blood happens, then you start to develop symptoms from demand and supply problem, basically an economics type of problem. So what's happened? So just a little bit, what happens in the brain if you're not getting enough blood going up to the brain in a particular area? You have clogged arteries there. You're going to have symptoms being experienced from not having enough blood going there. For example, difficulty speaking, difficulty moving your hand, difficulty moving your face. And I'll show you exactly how it is. I ask patients on the phone even how to describe if somebody's having a stroke and what symptoms to look out for. So the major things that cause the clogged arteries, by and large, number one cause, high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
High blood pressure is the pipe, because the pipe not as distensible as it was before. The inner walls of the pipe get sheared off, and get smaller and smaller, and contribute to the clogged artery problem. Diabetes, next big one, contributes to plaque buildup within the walls of the arteries. High cholesterol, because that contributes to further buildup of plaque within the arteries. And one of the major ones, smoking cigarettes. So those are the four major risk factors that lead to strokes.
Now, I'm listening to those four factors, and I'll repeat them here because I have a huge point to put across. High blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, and smoking cigarettes. To me, those things sound like lifestyle diseases.
100% correct.
So what you're saying here, right, is that these are situations that we opt into by our behavior.
Exactly.
So your stroke is not a problem, it's a manifestation of other issues, other decisions, other...
I couldn't say better myself.
Oh. All right.
What?
Just for clarity's sake here, secondhand smoke is just as dangerous?
Sometimes even more dangerous depending on the amount of exposure, because first-hand smoke, sometimes the person who's doing first-hand smoke has the cigarette filter, taking off a bit of filtration from it. And some people, it depends on the studies that you look at, second-hand smoke can sometimes be even worse. And not something that many people realize, there's actually even something called third-hand smoking, where smoke stays on like your clothing and your person, and like you're interacting with a baby or somebody that you're holding. That does transfer to them also and increases their risk of damage.
So to all my partners who does smoke, there's the time where we had to stop lying, I don't know. Or do smoke around now.
There's the time where we have to encourage them to stop smoking, because it's not easy, Not easy when when people take in a little lime, the most common thing that people who trying to smoke say that they have difficulty stop smoking is when they go to lime and let me say they take a beer or they take 2 beers and they just feel for a cigarette.
Yep. Moment of complete transparency here. As somebody who has spent years on again, off again smoking, the times that I start back smoking generally is because it had to have that drink in one hand and you don't have to,
The cigarette.
Is really a habitual thing where even if it's not a chemical situation,
you trying to say it's a balance?
If you could be out of balance and balance, well then yes. And he's right. The liming is a huge part of not just the smoking conditions, but the lifestyle diseases, the decisions that we make. Because you're eating healthy all week, and then you go and take a lime, and it's a cheat day, so you stop on your buy and eat all kind of bad food that you wouldn't normally be eating. Right? You're buying a gyro every other night, and you feel it healthier than something fried because it have veggies in it. And it's just we make decisions just based on our everyday or even our regular occasional indulgence.
Yep.
So
very, very true.
Yeah. All right. Noted.
We can't be doing this. There's 2 weeks in our Ricardo.
That we getting licks?
You getting licks, not me this week.
You ain't getting licks. Aaron, the gyro man do even ask for your order again. Time they hear the car coming around the corner, they just start to put it together. What are you telling them?
I don't know what gyro man you're talking about. Because generally I tend to not eat after 6.
That's pretty good actually.
Help me out here, doc. Right? This eating, some people are night owls, right? Not necessarily the healthiest way to be sometimes, but your body develops its routine, etc. This eating after 6 thing, how big a deal is this? Because plain talk bad manners, this is Men's Health Month. We're talking to the fellas out here. We figure we could eat through the biggest plate of food because we eat all day and then go and lie down and sleep or fall asleep watching a movie. Right? This late eating and heavy eating and that type of thing, how consequential is it to the types of things that you're talking about here?
It's multifactorial. So I'll put it into the context of eating late depends on how much you're eating at that particular point in time and what you're particularly eating. Because then a lot of people would hear about the things like the ketogenic diet where you're supposed to be fasting for a number of hours during the day and then you eat whatever you want after a period of time. We don't know what's the long-term studies on your health with respect to that, your cardiovascular health. I mean, there were some studies back in the day that stated it might be good, but we don't know what's the long-term consequence of that. The whole eating late thing, a lot of the things that I research is that you're ideally supposed to eat a little bit of a bigger breakfast, a medium-sized lunch, and a very small dinner, if that is how you're going to go about it. Eat like a king for breakfast, eat like a middleman for lunch, and eat like a pauper for supper.
Yeah.
All right.
Generally. Right. And it's quantity of food that you're eating, because eating a little bit of rice, a little bit of thing. Everything is good in moderation, and there's a good way to go by. If you just want to be layman and we're talking with the fellas, that's the best way you can describe it. We can get the nitty-gritty of this thing, but that's a nice, good, template to follow.
But to delve a little bit further to what Ricardo was asking. So let's say I work in a night shift. So my reverse would be what someone will be having. Someone's dinner time is now my breakfast. So it's okay to flip then? Like say I have a heavy breakfast at 7 p.m., middleman's lunch at midnight, and a pauper's meal at 6 a.m. when I get home?
It depends on if that is a one-off thing or if that is your entire structure of daily activity, because your hormonal system would then be out of whack because you depend on certain hormones as dictate day and night things like your melatonin. Your cortisol tends to spike around in the morning. So if it's a normal thing that you've been doing for like the last maybe 3 months, your body's entrained to be different. And now your body could react to that. And maybe then you could try doing that. That's not particularly scientific, but that's just me trying to explain it from understanding the base and science behind it.
Because I now go and share it out there. I know we're missing this season, but for Carnival, we run our bodies ragged sometimes. And they'll say, well, I'm going to a Juve party, so I can eat heavy 4 o'clock. But,
Yeah, because you're going to take load.
I don't know what kind of load you're talking about, brother.
Let me not play with who we're talking to here. When you know you're gonna drink, you just coat the stomach now. You just coat the stomach.
Yeah. Before many Juve parties, I have hit the cross. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you definitely want to do that because you also don't want to be drinking lots on an empty stomach. First of all, ideally you shouldn't be drinking a lot. And the worst type of drinking is actually binge drinking, which is drinking when you go to a fete and you say, boy, I pay my money and all inclusive, I have to make that money back.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst. That's the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Good old days, right?
Ideally for men's health as well, the amount of alcoholic beverages men typically allowed per week is 14 units, aka about 2 alcoholic beverages a day, maybe 2 beers a day, 2 glasses of wine, 2 shots of spirit a day, spread out daily across the day. You ideally shouldn't be taking over 14 units.
Because I want to go and ask now. Because I had this thing I still do. I don't drink alcohol from Monday to Friday.
Okay.
Right? But I tell people on a weekend if I choose to drink, I'm not playing catch up.
Okay, good.
But I have I know some people who would say they ain't drink Monday to Friday, so I had to make up for the week. Making up for the week is a bad idea. Don't do that.
No, making up for the week is a bad idea. Like if it really, really bad because then you shock your liver, you shock your entire system. And because your liver unaccustomed to be having to deal with this alcohol. And alcohol is a toxin. It's dealt with by the liver. It's turned into sugar and carbon dioxide that you store in your muscles, you store in your fat. It's a toxin. When your liver not accustomed to dealing with it and it's shocked into it on a Saturday and Friday, like, oh, what's going on here? Not accustomed to this at all. As opposed to it being slowly primed to it maybe all the time, it's accustomed to it a bit more.
Okay.
So how do you the things you're talking about, right? We're not even talking personal decision anymore. These are cultural norms, right? How do you address your patients when you let them know, well, listen, you in this bed right now because of this behavior? Do you go in with a, try to take it easy, or are you one of those, listen, if I want to see you again, I don't want to see you again, and if you keep this up, you're going to come back. Where's your style? How do you address the fact that you're asking people to go against what is a cultural norm?
You kind of feel out the person first and see how it is you believe that they will react. So you talk to the person, you establish this physician-patient therapeutic alliance where you telling the patient, listen, we trying to make shared decisions between each other for the betterment of your health, your family's health, and then even by extension, the health of the country too. Because individually, we all amount to the 1.3 million people that's encompassed Trinidad and Tobago. So if as fine what the person kind of in, if some people need to get buff, that's just what's happened. Some people need to get buff.
Yeah, this man just pointed at me,
Some people need to get buff, and some people don't. Some people don't want that. Some people need to feel like they're being listened to. They need to understand that, doc, it's hard and it's hard because trying to do all those healthy things is difficult. And not just to say it's just difficult from a personal perspective. Like we say, you're living in a household where those types of activities happen all the time. Like we say, everybody in the house smoking. Like we say, everybody in the house drinking. Like we say, everybody in the house eating bad. You need to address the health. You're treating the whole family then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're trying to change behavior.
I do like that. And for starters, I appreciate you saying that, because I'll tell it as it is. I have had in my house I moved in here, probably 6 years ago. I bought one golden ray when I moved in. One. I opened my fridge to cook dinner just now. That same golden ray is in the fridge.
It's still gold?
It's still gold.
It's no green and thing on it.
No. The fridge working good.
All right, to go by you.
Right? And I'm saying that because I want persons to understand sometimes these simple decisions to not use high fat ingredients when cooking, instead of using vegetable oil, olive oil, or even just cutting a small piece of butter and melting it in the pot. Those are the little changes you could make when cooking or preparing food, which could save you the buff. Or the casual conversation.
It is my casual conversation. Aaron, you want your hand held. you one of the people, you want your hand held through this thing.
No, why I say casual conversation is because we are having a casual conversation on a serious topic.
Yeah, exactly what we have.
Now, I know we start with the heavy lifting first, right? But Doc, here it is. Nicholas, sorry, let me call it Nicholas, right? Because we linemen here, we linemen. Don't mind you in full blazer and your markup and thing, right? We linemen, right? You seem like a fella, you're comfortable. You know, you could tell when people have been, having conversations on, on air or on the camera and that type of thing before. I get a feeling that despite your obvious youth, that you have a wealth of experience. Like your man travel, or have you practiced outside, or you just study outside and then you come back home?
I've been around for a lot. I started off in Trinidad. I went to med school here. I did a piece of a specialization down here. I did specialization in neurology in Canada. I did another piece of neurology in Canada, the stroke neurology specifically. I went to London. I did something else again. I came back home to Trinidad. And I'm doing another thing in Montreal right now, back and forth, just trying to add to the repertoire. So I'm just trying to build up the experiences. One life to live. So trying to milk and squeeze as much out of it as possible in the days that I have on this blue planet.
And why did you choose neurology as your specialization?
I'm going to be real honest here. Neurology during medical school was probably the most difficult topic course that we had to do. And it was difficult for me, but what I really appreciated from it was the complexity and the kind of detectiveness that you had to go through to try and figure out what was wrong. You had to have a lot of knowledge, and you have to hit the understanding from different levels to try and fully understand what's going on. And that type of complexity, that type of Sherlock Holmes kind of behavior, that just do it for me. I was sold.
Puzzle solver.
Yeah.
So you're a man, you watch House, all the whole series back to front, everything. Yeah. That is great, man. That is great. Because you know what? It takes all kinds, right? Everyone can be the same thing in every profession, right? And some people have the treat aspect, and some people have that research, problem solving drive. So it is good because clearly you looking to do everything you have to do in neurology before you finish.
As much as I could do, and as much as I could do on the side with other things, because I mean we all members of the human race. We had to try and be as understanding about everything as much as possible, so we could just be the best human that we could be to ourselves, our fellow man. And with the current thing of COP, COP26 going on right now, environmentalists, climate change. I mean, we're all here for a short time. We try to make the best time of it and try to leave a good legacy, try to inspire others.
Now, as you mentioned, a short time. Generally, the average lifespan of a man is 5 years less than that of a woman. Is it that we as men make bad lifestyle decisions, or we just bad lucky?
It's a combination of factors, because if you tease it out, men are more likely to die from cardiovascular disease, which is the major killer of people throughout the world. And one is a piece of genetics, because estrogen is very protective of people's cardiovascular status. So for a 40-year-old male and a 40-year-old female who male testosterone, female estrogen, their cardiovascular health, if everything else is the same, the woman's cardiovascular health will be superior to the man's.
I did not know that.
That is why, anyway, I nearly went left with this thing here, but is really a reason why you would see more women in the 40s in the gym than you might see men in the 40s in the gym, because anyway, let me leave that right where it is before Aaron had to edit.
I know I wanted to know where he was going with it, but
I read it in.
I guess he'll tell me off air.
I read it in. I good. I ain't
okay.
Try to put myself in trouble.
That's the genetic thing, but the as you exactly said, Aaron, is the health aspect of it and the lifestyle choices that males generally make more tend to push us over the cardiovascular part. We don't seek healthcare generally. We wait until something goes wrong before we ever do it. Before anybody goes to any sort of doctor. The only people I've never seen a man in my office alone is always dragged there by his wife or his daughter or his mother, depending on his age.
Oh.
They're very rarely ever there alone.
So that is why they really say that married men or men with families live longer than bachelors, because they have people who seek in the healthcare interests.
Yep.
I have a joke here, and only don't judge me.
Aaron, you know me to judge?
Yes.
As you will, go ahead.
Right. Earlier this year, I decided I'm paying for my medical plan and all these different things. So I was trying to go for my annual medical. When I went this year, the doctor asked me the usual stuff, and I did the test, and then he was like, in case of anything, who's the emergency contact? So I was like, well, my mother. He's like, big man like you, still putting your mother as the emergency contact? I say, well, I have no shame in that. And then he proceeded to say, he was like, you are one of the few men who came here to do a medical without his wife or girlfriend or parent or anybody. You just show up to do your medical. What's your reason? You get a new job or? I was like, my reason is I'm not supposed to say it, but I was going on take the chuck. So I wanted to make sure all was well first.
Right.
And he was like, okay, cool.
Wow.
But the man was surprised that a man came on his own to see about his health. So it is very true. Men. Yeah.
We need that community.
But I want to throw a left field question out here to you two gentlemen. And I'll answer for myself as well. When last did you visit the doctor?
I visited my doctor about mid last year to have I was going for insurance. Yeah.
Great response.
I just make you feel that bad.
I know I still recovering from you referring to me as a gentleman on air. It's on record now, so I get through. You can't tell me nothing again about my behavior. But admittedly, the last time I was in a doctor's office was maybe a month and a half ago, and it was to pick up my father. So thinking about it now, do dentists count? No, that's not what you're talking about. No, you're talking about right. You know what? It's been a while, and having brought it up, I'm going to definitely address that. I am less than 6 months away from becoming 40, and I swore that I was definitely going to treat this milestone with a lot more respect and responsibility than I've treated the others. Right, so nice. I'm taking that. There are several other procedures that you as a man, when you hit that 40, you have to start considering. So I guess this is a less than graceful segue into another aspect of men's health. So besides stroke, right? Turning 40 as a man, you have another health concern to deal with, and one that's it very intimate and personal, and I don't want to use the word.
Who want to go to the doctor?
Yeah. We already don't want to go to the doctor, and worse yet for this particular one. And the prostate cancer, the prostate checks, that type of thing.
The big P.
The last thing you want to hear when you're gonna get a prostate check is men talking about a big P Aaron. Come on, let me not be that guy. We call it in the prostate and leave no room for doubt, right? Prostate, right? How you're doing well so far in terms of pulling up our socks on every other element of the men's health. Talk to me about this prostate thing now, because again, different news. They're saying something go up, it's 45, you need to go test regularly. Some saying it's from the time you hit 40, you should start. What's the verdict?
It depends on which guidelines you're going by. Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you what are the American guidelines for prostate health. It depends on your risk factors, whether you're getting tested at 40, 45, 50, and how often you're going to be tested after that. So for example, if you've had a family history of prostate cancer, specifically a father, a brother, mm-hmm. that means your genetic risk is higher. So you more likely to have the genetics that could make you more risk for prostate cancer. And then you should be tested sooner. And they say at about 40, because you'd be put in the very high risk category.
Yes, you said father and brother. Grandfather as well, or?
Grandfather is a bit out of there. It'd probably be very important if it's your paternal grandfather, if it's your dad's dad. Yeah, mm-hmm. that way a bit more heavy.
Yeah, okay. Because now we're talking genetics now. So the likelihood of your father or your brother expressing and then you expressing would be higher than if your grandfather expressed. But if it's paternal, well then
there's a chance it carries down.
Mm-hmm.
When we did the interview on breast cancer, mm-hmm. they would have said that for breast cancer, if your mother or somebody has it, check when she was diagnosed and test 10 years before that day. So let's say she was diagnosed at 35, you should get yourself checked at 25. Does the same apply for prostate cancer?
Truthfully, I do not know. So I don't want to say the wrong thing here and get stumped out. Mm-hmm. So I'm about to make result.
Yeah, do a Chris Gale.
Two things. Right? One, it is very, very healthy for men to admit when they do not know. It is way easier to make it up than to clean it up. Right? If you don't know something, don't project and present, and then you have a whole set of undoing to do to get things right. So thank you for that. That is an excellent example. And secondly, that batting increase thing. I tell you, I feel that kind of Jadeja vibes, bro. We'll talk to that side. Is from the time I see the first picture, I see this man have a finish, but he reminds me of somebody, But anyway, thanks for that. Thanks for that. We definitely need to acknowledge as men, even as specialists, that here we're going on. We might know a lot about a lot, but that don't mean we know everything about everything. Right? And plenty of times we get ourselves in trouble financially, physically, in relationships because we feel we doing it because we feel we know now. Yeah, so. And
the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Well, at least that's one of the definitions of wisdom. So that means, listen, if you're advertising out here, you're getting plenty buying. You're ticking plenty boxes, brother. It's good to hear you speak like this. Because here we're going on. I don't know if you just do it already, but you have that a strong spirit of advocacy and let's say support is like service is the term I'm looking for. So I could imagine even if you weren't in medicine, even if you weren't in neurology, you would have probably been a therapist or in some form of coaching or something like that. You have that.
Anything that helps people.
Nice. There was a list of talking points which we set out to discuss in today's program, and everything just came out so smoothly in conversation. Would you agree there, Ricardo?
Yeah, it is. This is good. This is a testament to your knowledge base, and two, your relatability. This is great, man. Want to take a second to acknowledge, as I brought up the breast cancer episode, we had Dr. Bim on a few weeks ago, and she recommended you. And I just want to acknowledge and thank Dr. Bim, because this is turning out to be amazing in terms of just the information we get in, the rapport we have in, no lulls and dips in conversation and that type of thing. It's like three fellas sitting down having a blag now.
And that's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. That's how you actually reach out to spread the word about anything. Everybody had to approach it from the same level. You can't be coming from a higher level than anybody trying to talk down to people. Mm-hmm. That's not how that paternalistic type of medicine that was 40, 50 years ago, where the doctors come and tell you what you had to do. That's out the door. That's not what's happening anymore. It's proven to not work.
Yeah. I heard someone saying the other day in conversation that patriarchal way of communication needs to stop.
100% agree.
Yeah, the new faces of medicine are definitely champions of the future. It's encouraging, the trepidation that we feel generally in terms of engaging in the medical profession. It's diminishing. I generally feel a lot more comfortable based on the types of conversations we've been having and the reports that you're getting out of people who've engaged the healthcare system. So I want to take the opportunity to thank you and all the others in the profession who have been going above and beyond the call, especially over the last year and a half, 2 years or so. Thank you for doing what you're doing so graciously.
It's been difficult. I am the neurology liaison for the COVID team in Cuba, and I definitely do get a lot of very, very, very tough cases that are very difficult to manage. And I just want to do one last piece of advocacy here. I think everybody who hasn't been vaccinated yet should go and get vaccinated. I think it's a significant defense against the virus, sorry. And it gives you a solid piece of protection, whether it is just doing it for yourself, doing it for the other family members, doing it for your elderlies who much more immune compromised than we are. It's good for you and it's good for your fellow man. So we can all get back to some sort of normalcy.
Yeah.
And have kind of
I appreciate that, man. So, yeah, Aaron, you look like you go to. No, you're pondering.
No. Not pondering anything. No.
All right. So, I don't even know if I should ask this, but is there any group you would like to acknowledge? Any business or private practice? Or what I'm saying is, there's an opportunity where if there was a way for the layman, the man on the street, to require your services or contact you in requirement of your services, can you take clients, or do they have to go through the system and then get recommended to you, that type of thing? How does it work?
No, so I also have a bit of a private practice. The name of the business is Synapse Medical Services. Mm-hmm. Synapse is a connection between two nerve cells, so it's me connecting with the patient, basically. I'm at St. Augustine Private Hospital and Southern Medical, and the phone number for that is 367-9368. 367-9368. And since you say it in 40 just now, Ricardo, your checkup is on the house.
Hey, don't make joke. That's what we're talking about. That is what we're talking about.
You could fall into.
Not a problem. And I would say it as I say for all guests, when you are calling the number, which is 367-9368, it's for business purposes only. I tell you, the man come out in a blazer and mark off and thing too. Yeah. Don't feel it's all of that out here, right? You come to work. You come out to work this evening. And
again, I like to encourage when there's opportunity for encouragement. That's just me. So a little bit of behind the scenes now. We were supposed to have the conversation at a different date and time, and we didn't get to do so. And then it turned out that in recording this, you on call. You could literally have to disappear at any moment in time to go and respond to the call of duty.
I have 2 calls pending right now that I just kind of negotiated right on the side there. As soon as this ends, I am jumping in the car. I have a curfew bar, so I have to jump to it. I'm going to San Fernando and I'm coming back up to St. Augustine and then come back.
Yeah. And this is what I'm saying. This is the type of commitment. This is the type of effort. This is the sincere passion for doing well that we still have in the citizenry, that we still have within the industries and the professions. So I want to just, I don't think you understand how grateful I am for you having this discussion with us. We've all seen difficulties in getting to this particular episode, and I think the information coming out of it is in such a digestible manner that we could present this to any listener, male or female, right? And they could get something from it that they could either use or share with somebody. And that to me is really important, and I appreciate it, man.
It's a pleasure to be here, gentlemen. I really, really, really appreciated this time. It really felt very relaxed. It felt like really 3 fellas talking and
drinking some water by the bar.
Exactly. Sipping a cool water.
Yeah, water.
Right.
You know, we are getting very close to the end of our show this evening, right? So I just want to ask one quick question. Anyone you want to say goodnight to, and your last words, any advice for the listeners of this program on WAC?
I just want to heal out my parents, my baby brother, who definitely are the people who've encouraged me to try to be the best person that I could be. That's what I want to heal out. Last thing I want to say is, this is Men's Health Month. Men are, by definition, the go-getters, the breadwinners, but that's a bit old school and patriarchal. Mm-hmm. We need to take care of ourselves if we want to be able to take care of others. And when we say others, we mean ourselves, our families, our fellow men and our fellow brethren in the country of Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension the world. And health is your physical health, your mental health, and both those are very, very, very important. Exactly as I said today, Ricardo, being able to say you don't know when you don't know is an important thing, but also being able to ask for help is something not men know how to do. And we need to be able to encourage that and to let men know that that's not a fault. That's being able to ask for help and being able to seek that help when you think you need it. That's our real strength.
I am. This air condition birds drive my eyes sometimes.
Could I add to that, Nicholas?
Of course.
There's a picture that I've been sharing very avidly on Twitter and on my WhatsApp.
This one?
Status as well. No, not that one. Please, no. And on Facebook. Men need to know that it's okay to need support, to be vulnerable, to go to therapy, to not be okay, to talk about their feelings, to ask for help, to break down, and to cry.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, true.
In this Men's Health Month, we jump in on one end of the pool and we come out on the next one. I think we've covered so many different areas of men's health in this conversation that I don't know. I feel we had to get back on so we, in the future just to have a discussion more on the neurology, because you can't study all of that and tell me that there's only about 7 minutes on it you could talk, right? So
I available whenever all the gentlemen have the time slot to carve out. I'll go make myself available. This was real fun. I really can't deny this was real fun.
Excellent stuff.
So, Ricardo, you know to do the needful as we close off tonight.
This is Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage and the local stage, thanking you for joining us in the living room. Remember, guys, the hourglass is opaque. We don't know how much time remains, so whatever you're doing, be good and stay safe. Aaron?
And this is yours truly, DJ Aaron 868. I'm always great and I am never late, reminding you that love is the currency, so spend some today. Mr. Desmond is up next with the big band. Keep it locked to the True Nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
Culture Crazy.